Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Through the Night is a documentary that follows three working mothers whose lives intersect at a 24-hour daycare center in New Rochelle, New York. The film overall highlights the childcare crisis among the Black and Latinx communities. Let's take a sneak peek of Through the Night.
22 years. I have all different types of families in my daycare. I have some that comes in at 6 o'clock in the morning that works to 8:30 at night. I have some that comes from 3:30 to 12:30 at night. I have some that comes in overnight. I see a lot of parents come in and break down. They don't want to do this, but they need to work and take care of their family.
See you later. All right, baby, have a good day. Be careful.
This is the way the world is set up at this point.
That was Through the Night. And joining us to tell us more and to discuss the inspiration behind creating this film, we welcome Through the Night producer and director, Loira Limbal. Hola, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, congratulations is in order on numerous occasions, right? Number one, for this amazing film that's receiving all these wonderful accolades. And of course, I have to acknowledge you for being 2021 Madrina at this year's El Museo del Barrio's Three Kings Day, virtual celebration. So congratulations, Loira.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super humbled to be a part of the celebration this year and to be one of the honorees.
And then of course this film that's just taken on a life of its own. It's quite amazing, and on a personal note, I'm very proud of you. Just looking at what we just experienced, it's very touching and moving, and if you would just share with us all why it was so important for you to really dive into this probably unnoticed topic.
Yeah, certainly. And thank you for the kind words. The reason that I made the film is because the film essentially portrays a world that is very similar to my mother's world. My mother raised four of us as a single working mother in New York City, working a low-wage job, working the night shift. And I first learned about the childcare providers that are featured in the film through an article that I read about 6 years ago. And the article was really focused on the fact that in the US, people are increasingly having to work more than one job to make ends meet. And that oftentimes those jobs require, irregular hours or non-standard hours, overnight hours, and then asking the question of, given that reality, who was looking after people's children? And as I read the stories in the article, I was really taken back to my own childhood and really thinking about my mother's experience and, somewhat of my own experience as a single working mother. And, I just really was captured by it. And as a filmmaker, my sort of subsequent thought was this would be an amazing movie. This is the story of so many women of color. It's a story that is pretty invisible in the mainstream, and we deserve a film about our experiences and about our lives.
So while it's receiving all these accolades now, this actual story has been in development for almost 10 years. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, 6 years total, right? I read the article 6 years ago. Then between the time that I read the article and actually started working on the film, I let 2 years pass because somebody told me no when I initially asked to be introduced to the providers that are in the film. And I sort of took that no for an answer. And I also, I had a lot of doubts about my own ability to make a film, given the fact that I am a single mother of two young children and I have a full-time job. And so I sort of sat on the idea for 2 years. And so it would be, 2 years later before I reached out myself, just kind of cold called them, introduced myself, said, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I'd like to propose to you. Would you take a meeting with me? And I finally did. And from that moment, forth, it took 4 years to make the film.
Right. So my calculations are pretty accurate.
No, it's almost a decade,
Yeah. And what? Say that again.
And so, it's close to a decade if you round up as weeks, That's the third grade math brain in me rounding up numbers.
Yeah, I get it, Mama Dukes, but the reason I even brought that up is because, you've got all the support now, and the film is backed up and it's receiving so much recognition. I know you just had an article written up in the New York Times. I know ICTV is attached to it, right? Firelight Media is attached to it. You're part of the Sundance, what is that? Is it a residency?
Yeah,
It's a lab residency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm mentioning this because I think it's important that people understand that it's a process.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was definitely, sort of an idea that I had, something I felt very passionate about, something that sort of would wake me up in the middle of the night, but that I didn't mention to very many people for a long time, and when I started to work on it, I kept it close, partially because I had a lot of doubt about, again, my
Well,
own.
because you were shut down. You were shut down. And that's the other beautiful aspect of what you're sharing is that you got shut down. You admit that you allowed them to shut you down because you stepped back and you said, you know what, I'm gonna sit on this. However, you didn't let them close you. And that to me is everything. And who knows, you may just not have been ready at that time, right?
Definitely, my children were younger. So certainly, everything happens, for a reason. And this past year, the film was released in 2020, right? In the middle, our world premiere was supposed to be the Tribeca Film Festival. There was no Tribeca Film Festival in 2020.
Right.
And here we are. The film is reaching who it needs to reach, and I have a lot of faith that the film will do what it needs to do in the world.
Right. Well, everything in its divine timing, right? While you didn't get to do that red carpet, extravaganza that you were looking so forward to participating in, the information is so relevant and so important and needs to be highlighted. And right now, more than ever, I think there's a light being shined on essential workers, and they certainly fall in that category. I mean, caregivers. I mean, the woman that you're highlighting in the trailer, it seems like, she adopts everybody. It seems like it becomes her lifeline of, like, to the point of not getting any sleep and getting any rest because she wants to be there for other people's children. I mean, that's a remarkable commitment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Caregiving, as we now know, is essential work. It is sacred work. It is critical and needs to be respected as such and compensated as such. And also, everyone in the film is literally an essential worker. The mothers who rely on the caregivers are essential workers themselves. Marisol Valencia, who is one of the mothers featured in the film, works for a supermarket supplier. And so she's been working 6-7 days a week throughout the entire pandemic. Shanona Tate, the other mother in the film, is a pediatric ER nurse whose children, sleep at the daycare. She's been on the front lines of the pandemic the whole time. And Nunu and Patrick, the caregivers, their daycare is one of the few that has not closed throughout the pandemic precisely because they're caring for the children of essential workers. So literally everyone in the film is an essential worker.
Essential worker.
And to your point, there's this pandemic moment. We now have this language. We now understand that the work that they do, Marisol, Shanona, Nuno, and Patrick, is literally the work that keeps societies functioning. But, for a very long time, we've been treating them as disposable, right? And creating a situation through our economy and frankly, capitalism and the way that capitalism works in the United States, where people are working and working and working and they can't sleep. No one in the film gets any more than 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. We've gotten to a point in the US where sleep is some sort of luxury that only, the select few, the lucky ones, have access.
Right.
Well, that's really cruel and very violent.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And it's wonderful that you were able to shed a light on not only these essential workers, but the next generation of children and the way they're being cared for. And I wish we had more time to dive in a little deeper, but I think it's important that we make sure that before we go, that people have access to this film and experience the film, and also just find out more about you and your project. So right now, I get that everything is being handled virtually, but since it's a feature film, is it accessible on demand?
Yeah, absolutely. So the film is actually playing in cinemas right now virtually. And you can visit our website, which is just throughthenightfilm.com. And you can choose, you know, which theater you want to watch it in. Do you want to watch it at BAM, or do you want to watch it at the Maisels, or are you in Los Angeles or Chicago? And you can select the cinema and watch from home. And it is a film that you can watch with the entire family. It's a very much of an intergenerational story, and we found that people are watching it and their children will kind of drift into the room and be really captivated because they get to see children that look like them living lives very similar to their own. So it really is a family, film that you can share with everyone.
I love it. I love it. I get it. I get it. And I think everybody got a taste of it at the beginning of this segment, and I hope it interests everyone to just really want to expand in their interest of just exposing themselves and their children to stories that support people who look like you and me. All right. Thank you, Loira Limbal. And once again, you guys, Through the Night can be seen online through virtual cinemas. And to find a list of participating cinemas, you can visit throughthenightfilm.com. Don't go anywhere. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.